Hey, welcome back to Puzzle Run channel. I'm still in vacation mode, which means I don't have that much time for puzzling, but I'm still trying to fit in whatever I can. Today I have got very interesting challenge from Educa. I'll be working on 3 map puzzles. These are really busy designs and require a slightly different approach. Let's see how it goes. The first puzzle is called Crazy European Map, and I can only agree with that name. It really does look crazy. Just look at how busy this puzzle is. I'm actually not great at this type of puzzle, but I want to keep challenging myself. I know it's going to take me ages to finish, but let's hope it's not too bad. For puzzles like this, I usually follow a specific strategy. Start with the most obvious parts, and if they aren't any, then go for the edge. Once the frame is done, it is easier to grab a piece and place it more or less in the right spot inside. That's exactly how I started this one. The beginning wasn't bad at all. I had plenty of distinctive pieces I could place quickly. Flags, country names, some recognizable objects. The water was also pretty obvious, though the pieces were scattered everywhere. Still, it was easier than working on the land pieces. But after a while, things slowed down. It got harder to find the right spots. Sometimes I spent forever staring at the reference image, and sometimes I just couldn't figure out where the piece belonged. At one point I got tired of looking and I tried placing pieces without the reference image. But that didn't help either. The image itself is extremely busy. So many buildings, landmarks, and objects representing each country. It was really tricky. Only near the end did I start to feel more familiar with the puzzle, and occasionally I could place pieces without checking the image. Eventually it was done. I knew this one would be tough, and it really was. By the end, I just wanted to finish. Honestly, I didn't really enjoy it. The details were overwhelming, and sometimes I didn't even understand what certain things were supposed to represent. The second puzzle is called New York City Map. This one looked like it might be a bit easier than the European map. It's still busy, but not quite as overwhelming. Let's dive in and see. I used the same strategy. Start with the frame, then work inside. This puzzle had two very distinctive areas to focus on: the water of the Hudson and East Rivers, and Central Park. So that's where I began. Finishing those sections wasn't completely straightforward. It still took some time, but once they were done, the rest of the puzzle followed the same method as before. Picked up a piece and tried to place it until the picture started to come together. The early stages went quickly thanks to the more unique pieces, but later on it got much harder and more time consuming. Eventually, the image started to take a shape, but I still had quite a few pieces left. At this stage, every placement felt like a struggle. I was already tired after 90-minute mark, so I decided to take a break. After resting, I came back with fresh energy and I was able to pick up the pace and finish. And finally, the last piece. I was still slower than I hoped, though at least faster than the European map. As always, I will admit I'm not very good at this type of puzzle, and I definitely need more practice. The final puzzle is Paris map. At first glance, it seemed easier than the other two. Plus, by now I had more experience with map puzzles, so I was curious to see how I would do. Same strategy again, frame first. After that, I worked on the row of the sky pieces, then focused on the Seine River. The blue color with bridges stood out really well, and the river divided the puzzle nicely in two parts, which I knew would help later. But even though the river looked obvious, it still took quite a bit of time. Its unusual shape made things trickier. Once it was done, I went back to placing pieces wherever they seemed to fit. Not much else to add here. Eventually the puzzle got tougher again. The distinctive parts were finished and I was left with lots of similar looking pieces, especially those blue rooftops. They looked all the same to me. Finally, it was done. Once again, I wasn't really satisfied with my time. At some point during the puzzle, I felt like I was doing well, but then I slowed down and ended up with another disappointing result. The next day, I just couldn't accept that bad result, so I decided to redo the Paris puzzle. Of course, it's not the same as the first attempt. I already knew the puzzle, and that knowledge was going to help a lot. But what I wanted to see, if I could complete it in reasonable time. And yes, knowing the puzzle definitely helped. For some pieces, I already knew the exact spot, and for others, I just needed a quick glance at the reference image. One difference from my first run, you might notice I built the river later instead of the right away. It felt more natural that way. This time, I was moving at pretty good pace, though I still slowed down in the end with the trickier pieces. In the end, great improvement in time. That's exactly what I was hoping for. I just wish I could have achieved that on my first try. Still, I think this practice session was worth it. Even if my results weren't amazing, I was getting a little faster each time, and that's something positive to take away. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Happy puzzling! Bye!